I want you to stop for a moment and ask yourself, are you living at the level you know you're capable of? Or are you settling, just getting by, playing smaller than you were meant to play? Because let's be honest, deep down, you already know what needs to change. You don't need more information. You don't need another someday. What you need is a decision, and decisions are what shape your destiny. Right now, in this very moment, you can change the direction of your life. Not next week, not when the timing feels right, not when all the conditions are perfect, because guess what? They never will be. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. Life responds to bold action. And if you want to transform your life, you must make a demand of yourself today. The first thing you must do is raise your standards. You have to stop tolerating the excuses, the stories, and the limits that have kept you where you are. If you keep telling yourself, this is just how things are, then that's exactly what you'll get. Transformation begins when you say, I will no longer accept less than I'm capable of. I will not live beneath my potential. When you shift your standards, everything changes. You start operating from a higher level, and life has no choice but to meet you there. The second thing you must do is harness the power of your state, because you and I both know when you're tired, when you're fearful, when you're doubtful, you make weak decisions. But when you shift your energy, when you move your body, when you breathe like you mean it, when you step into that powerful state, suddenly courage is accessible. Confidence is accessible. Ideas flow. Opportunities show up. You don't wait for inspiration. You generate it, change your state, and you change your life. The third thing you must do is take massive and determined action, not baby steps, not half-hearted attempts, not I'll try. You must commit, decide on what you want, and then attack it with everything you have, because clarity without action is just daydreaming, and action without commitment fizzles out. But when you align clarity, commitment, and relentless action, you become unstoppable. Transformation is not about dipping your toe in the water. It's about diving all the way in, even if the water feels cold at first. And finally, you must condition your mind and body daily. Transformation doesn't happen because you got hyped up one time. It happens because you choose every single day to feed your mind with empowering beliefs, to fuel your body with energy, and to train yourself to focus on what moves you forward instead of what holds you back. Small, consistent rituals will create giant shifts over time. And so let me ask you right now, what's the decision you've been avoiding? What's the action you've been putting off? What's the standard you must raise? You already know the answers. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the stars to align. This is your moment. This is the line in the sand. Step across it. Choose now. Act now. Transform now. When you look at your life right now, everything you are experiencing, every result you have, every relationship, every achievement, every struggle is a reflection of the standards you've chosen to live by. Standards shape everything. They are the invisible force that dictates whether you rise or whether you settle, whether you push forward or stay stuck, whether you live in alignment with your potential or whether you sell yourself short. When you hear the word standards, you might think of rules or expectations that society puts on you, but the truth is the most powerful standards are the ones you decide for yourself. These are the lines you draw in the sand, the commitments you make that say, this is who I am, this is what I expect of myself, and I will not go below this level. The reason so many people remain frustrated, stuck, or living lives that don't inspire them is because they have set their standards too low. They've made it acceptable to live in mediocrity, acceptable to accept less than they deserve, acceptable to tolerate habits that don't serve them. And then they wonder why transformation never arrives. The transformation begins the moment you say to yourself, no more. I will no longer tolerate what I have allowed up until now. Think about every area of your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your career, your emotions. In each of these areas, you have a standard, even if you've never consciously defined it. Maybe your standard for health is just, I don't want to be sick, so you accept feeling tired, sluggish, or out of shape. Maybe your standard for money is as long as I can pay the bills. So you live paycheck to paycheck and never demand more. Maybe your standard for relationships is least I'm not alone. So you accept drama, disrespect, or a lack of passion. These are all standards, and whether you recognize it or not, they are governing your life right now. But when you raise your standards, when you demand a higher level of energy, of love, contribution, of success, everything begins to shift. Raising your standards is not about wishing for more. It's about turning your shoulds into musts. Everyone has a list of things they should do. I should eat healthier. I should save more money. I should spend more time with my family. I should start that business. But shoulds don't change your life. Shoulds are weak. The only time your life transforms is when a should becomes a must. When you say, I must eat healthy because my energy is the foundation of everything I do. I must grow financially because my family deserves security and freedom. I must build my dream because it's who I was born to be. That's when change happens. The difference between people who achieve extraordinary lives and people who settle is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It's standards. Successful people are not necessarily more gifted, but they have standards that demand more from them. They don't accept excuses from themselves. They don't tolerate mediocrity. They don't allow themselves to back down when things get hard. They've raised the bar so high that the only option is to grow into it. And here's the truth. Once you raise your standard and truly commit to it, you'll find a way to meet it. Human beings always find a way to meet the level they've decided is a must. Think about the thermostat in your house. If you set it to 75 degrees and the temperature drops to 65, what happens? The heater kicks in to bring it back up. If the temperature rises to 85, the air conditioning cools it down. The thermostat ensures that no matter what, the temperature returns to the standard that was set. Your life works the same way. If your financial standard is just enough to get by, the moment you have a little more, you'll unconsciously find ways to spend it until you're back at that level. If your relationship standard is, at least it's not terrible, you'll tolerate unhappiness until it gets unbearable, and then you'll find a way to just barely fix it back to that level. But when you raise your standard to wealth, to vibrant love, to extraordinary health, to unshakable confidence, your inner thermostat shifts and you'll no longer settle for less. Raising your standards doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you stop negotiating with yourself, you stop lowering the bar to match your comfort zone, and instead, you raise the bar to match your vision. There will always be challenges, setbacks, and discomfort when you raise your standards, but that's the point. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth happens when you demand more of yourself than you thought was possible. Think about an athlete. If their standard is to run 3 miles, that's what they'll do, no more, no less. But if their standard is 10 miles, they will build the endurance, discipline, and strength to meet that demand. Your life works the same way. Whatever you set as your standard, you will grow into it. And if your standards are too low, you'll never access the strength that's already within you. When you decide to raise your standards, you're not just making a commitment to yourself, you're sending a signal to the world. People will treat you based on the standards you hold. If you demand respect, people will either rise to meet that or they will exit your life. If you demand growth, opportunities will start to appear because your focus shifts. If you demand excellence, you'll attract people who live by the same code. Life reflects back what you demand from it, not what you casually hope for. It's important to understand that raising your standards is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. As you grow, your standards must grow with you. What once felt extraordinary will eventually become your new normal, and if you stop there, you'll plateau. Transformation requires that you keep raising the bar, that you never allow yourself to be satisfied with average, that you always ask, what else am I capable of? What more can I give? What higher level can I reach? The moment you stop raising your standards is the moment you start shrinking. The truth is, Everyone is capable of so much more than they're currently living. The only difference between who you are and who you want to be is the standards you're willing to hold yourself to. If you want to transform your life, don't start by changing your environment. Don't start by waiting for luck. Don't start by asking for permission. Start by raising your standards. Decide right now that from this day forward, you will no longer accept the old patterns, the old excuses, the old limitations. Decide that you will demand more from yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Decide that you will no longer settle for less than extraordinary. And when you make that decision and truly commit to it, your life will never be the same. Your entire life is shaped by the state you live in. The decisions you make, the actions you take, the way you show up in the world, all of it is influenced by your emotional, mental, and physical state in any given moment. You can have the best ideas, the greatest strategies, the most powerful dreams, but if you're in a weak, fearful, or disempowered state, none of it matters because you won't act on it. You'll hesitate, you'll procrastinate, you'll talk yourself out of it. But when you step into a powerful state, when your energy is alive, your focus is sharp, and your emotions are aligned with strength and confidence, suddenly possibilities open up. The same opportunity that looked impossible when you were stressed or tired now looks achievable. The same conversation that felt intimidating now feels natural. The same challenge that felt like a wall now looks like a stepping stone. And mastering your state is one of the most important skills you can develop if you want to transform your life. Most people live in reaction to the state they find themselves in. They wake up tired, so they carry that exhaustion into their work. They face a problem, so they let frustration take over their entire day. They get rejected once, and they allow fear and doubt to run the show for weeks, months, or even years. But you don't have to live like that. You have the ability right now to shift your state in an instant. The problem is most people don't know how, and so they stay stuck in emotional patterns that limit them. The truth is, your state is influenced by three key forces: your physiology, your focus, and your language. When you learn to control these, you learn to control your state. Physiology is the fastest way to change your state. Your body is the foundation of how you feel. Think about it. When someone is depressed, you can see it in their posture. Their shoulders slump, their head drops, their breathing is shallow, their movements are slow. Their body communicates defeat. On the other hand, when someone is confident and alive, their posture is upright, their chest is open, their breathing is strong, their movements are full of energy. Their body communicates certainty. If you want to change the way you feel, change the way you move. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with purpose. Put energy into your body, and your emotions will shift immediately. You can't stand like a champion and feel like a victim at the same time. By mastering your physiology, you take control of your state before your mind has a chance to sabotage you. The second key is focus. Wherever focus goes, energy flows. Most people spend their lives focusing on what's wrong, what they don't have, what could go wrong, what they fear. And when you focus on those things, what do you feel? You feel fear, frustration, overwhelm, doubt. But if you train yourself to focus on what's good, what's possible, what you already have, what you can control, and everything changes. Focus on solutions instead of problems, and suddenly energy rises. Focus on gratitude instead of lack, and you feel abundant. Focus on the vision instead of the obstacles, and you feel motivated. You always have a choice of where to direct your focus, and that choice determines the state you live in. The third key is language. The words you use, both out loud and silently in your head, create the meaning you attach to your experiences. If you fail and you say, "I'm such a loser, I'll never get this right," you're going to feel hopeless. But if you fail and you say, "This is feedback, this is fuel, this is my chance to grow stronger," you're going to feel empowered. If you wake up and tell yourself, "I'm exhausted, I can't do this today," you'll live that story. But if you wake up and declare, "I'm alive, I'm grateful, I'm ready for the challenge," you shift into a completely different state. Language isn't just communication, it's creation. The words you choose determine the emotions you generate, and those emotions determine the quality of your life. The truth is, mastering your state is not about waiting until you feel good to take action. It's about generating the state that allows you to act. Successful people don't always feel confident, but they know how to put themselves into a confident state. They don't always feel motivated, but they know how to generate motivation by moving their body, focusing their mind, and choosing empowering language. They don't always feel fearless, but they know how to step into courage even when fear is present. The difference between people who achieve their dreams and people who don't is not that one group never feels negative emotions. It's that they don't stay stuck in them. They know how to shift. Think about how many times in your life you've missed opportunities because of your state. Maybe you didn't approach someone you wanted to connect with because you were nervous. Maybe you didn't take action on an idea because you were overwhelmed. Maybe you didn't speak up in a meeting because you doubted yourself. None of those things were because you lacked potential. They were because you allowed a disempowering state to control your behavior. Now imagine how different your life would be if you could flip that switch. Imagine being able to step into confidence when you need it, to feel energy when it matters most, to stay calm under pressure, to stay motivated when things get tough. That is what mastery of state gives you. You can train the skill daily. Start with your body. Each morning, get up and move in a way that generates energy. Breathe deeply, jump, stretch, put on music that makes you feel alive. Do something to tell your nervous system, I am awake, I am powerful, I am ready. Then train your focus. Before you dive into the chaos of the day, ask empowering questions. What am I grateful for? What can I create today? What am I committed to? Where can I grow? These questions shift your focus from problems to possibilities. And then train your language. Pay attention to the words you use. Replace I'm stuck with I'm learning. Replace I can't with I must. Replace it's impossible with I'll find a way. The more you condition these patterns, and the faster you'll be able to shift your state no matter what life throws at you. Because life will throw challenges at you. You will face setbacks, failures, disappointments, and pain. That's guaranteed. What's not guaranteed is how you respond. You can respond in weakness, letting fear and frustration run your life, or you can respond in power, stepping into a state of strength and possibility. The choice is always yours. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. At first, it might take effort to change your posture, redirect your focus, or choose new words. But over time, it becomes automatic. Just like a muscle, the more you train your state, the stronger it becomes. When you master your state, you stop living as a prisoner of your circumstances and start living as the creator of your destiny. You no longer wait for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, or the perfect opportunity. You generate the energy, the confidence, and the drive you need in the moment you need it. You take control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. You unlock the ability to show up at your best not once in a while, but consistently day after day. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right time, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting until they feel ready, waiting until they have more resources, waiting for permission, waiting until they're not afraid anymore. But waiting is the enemy of transformation. Nothing changes when you wait. You don't build strength by waiting. You don't create momentum by waiting. You don't achieve breakthroughs by waiting. The only thing that creates transformation is massive, determined action. Action is the great separator. It's what takes ideas from your head and turns them into results. It's what bridges the gap between the life you dream of and the life you're living now. You can think about it, talk about it, visualize it, plan it, and strategize all you want, but until you take massive action, nothing changes. There's a reason I'm not saying take some action or take a little step. I'm saying massive action, because when you take massive action, you force yourself to break free from hesitation. You force yourself to commit. You force yourself to grow into a new level of strength and resourcefulness. Small action keeps you in your comfort zone. Small action lets you stop when things get uncomfortable. Small action allows you to make excuses. But massive action changes your identity. It tells your brain, oh, I am all in, I am committed, I am not playing small anymore. When you take massive action, you send a signal to yourself and to the world that you're serious. And when you do that, doors open that you couldn't have imagined. Think about the people you admire, the ones who have created lives of impact, freedom, and fulfillment. None of them got there by dipping their toes in the water. They didn't test out success with one half-hearted attempt. They dove in, they committed, they failed and adjusted. They took risk after risk, and because they acted massively, they grew massively. And that's the truth most people don't want to face. You don't grow by playing safe. You grow by taking action so big that it forces you to become more than who you've been. When you take massive action, you kill indecision. Indecision is poison. It eats away at your energy. It steals your time, and it leaves you stuck in the same place year after year. But the moment you decide and act, momentum is created. Even if your first action isn't perfect, even if you make mistakes, you are moving forward, and movement creates clarity. People think they need clarity before they take action, but it's the opposite. Action creates clarity. You learn by doing, by testing, by failing, by adjusting. Every great success story is a story of someone who was willing to act without knowing all the answers. Someone who was willing to step forward in faith and figure it out as they went. Massive action requires courage, but courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is acting in spite of fear. If you're waiting for the fear to disappear before you take action, you'll wait forever. Fear is natural. Fear is part of growth. But when you take action in the presence of fear, you shrink it. Fear only grows when you feed it with inaction. Every time you act despite fear and you train your brain that you are bigger than it, that you are stronger than it, that it does not control you. That is how confidence is built. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. It's the reward of acting boldly again and again until your nervous system learns, I can handle this. The truth is, most people underestimate what they're capable of because they've never pushed themselves to the edge. They've never demanded more from themselves through massive action. They play at the surface level of life, wondering why they don't feel alive, but life doesn't reward half-hearted attempts. Life rewards those who dare, those who push, those who demand more. Massive action awakens parts of you that you didn't even know existed. It reveals your strength, your creativity, your resilience. It forces you to grow into the person who can handle the vision you've been dreaming about. Taking massive action also creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces you can harness. When you're stuck, everything feels heavy. Starting feels impossible. But the moment you act, you begin to generate movement, and movement creates energy. Energy creates drive. Drive creates more action. Soon what felt impossible starts to feel natural because momentum is on your side. The challenge is that most people stop before momentum kicks in. They take a little bit of action, hit a wall, and quit. But if you keep pushing, keep adjusting, keep taking action, momentum will eventually carry you further than you thought possible. One of the reasons people hesitate to take massive action is perfectionism. They think they need the perfect plan, the perfect idea, the perfect timing. But perfectionism is just another word for fear. It's fear of failure disguised as high standards. The reality is you will never have the perfect plan, you will never have perfect timing, and you will never have perfect certainty. The people who succeed are not the ones with the perfect plans, they're the ones who act relentlessly and adapt along the way. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Progress comes from action. When you commit to massive action, you also commit to massive failure. And that's a good thing because failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every action you take that doesn't work is not wasted. It's teaching you, shaping you, refining your approach. If you are afraid of failing, you will never take enough action to succeed. But if you embrace failure as feedback, you can act massively, fail massively, and learn massively, which ultimately leads to succeeding massively. The beautiful thing about massive action is that it doesn't just create external results, it transforms your internal world. It changes the way you see yourself. When you take massive action, you start to build evidence for a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who trees, and you start seeing yourself as someone who commits. You stop identifying as someone who dreams and start identifying as someone who does. This shift in identity is the real transformation. Because once you see yourself as someone who takes massive action, your entire life changes. Massive action is not a one-time thing. It's not about taking a burst of action one day and then going back to old habits. It's about making it your way of life. It's about training yourself to consistently push further, to consistently demand more, to consistently act even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is born in action. Consistency is born in action. Transformation is born in action. The truth is, every breakthrough you're waiting for is on the other side of massive action. The confidence you want, the opportunities you want, the freedom you want, the impact you want, they are all waiting for you, but they will not come to you. You have to go after them with everything you have. You have to decide that you are done waiting, done hesitating, done settling. You have to commit with every fiber of your being to take action so bold, so relentless, so determined that your old life has no choice but to shatter under the weight of your new decisions. The quality of your life is not determined by what you do once in a while. It's determined by what you do consistently. Anyone can get inspired for a moment. Anyone can make a change for a week. Anyone can commit when the energy is high and motivation is fresh. But transformation doesn't come from temporary bursts of effort. It comes from the daily conditioning of your mind, body, and spirit. What you do day after day is what shapes who you are. Your rituals, your habits, your repeated patterns, they carve the direction of your life. If you want to transform, you must build empowering rituals and condition yourself to live them until they become automatic, until they are as natural as breathing, until they are not something you try to do, but something you simply are. Conditioning daily means taking charge of the small moments that make up your life. Too many people wait for big events, breakthroughs, or once in a lifetime opportunities to change their lives, but those things are rare. What's not rare are the thousands of small choices you make every single day. The choice to get up early or hit snooze. The choice to feed your body energy or to feed it poison. The choice to focus on gratitude or focus on problems. The choice to learn and grow or to numb yourself with distractions. These choices may seem small, but over time they compound. The person who chooses discipline, growth, and empowerment every day builds a completely different life than the person who chooses comfort, excuses, and avoidance. The gap is created in the details, and that gap widens every day until it becomes a chasm between who you are and who you could have been. And daily conditioning is about training your nervous system to default to empowerment instead of disempowerment. Think about how the brain works. Whatever you repeat becomes a pattern. Whatever you reinforce becomes a habit. If every day you wake up and feed your mind negativity, your brain will wire itself for negativity. If every day you focus on fear and doubt, your brain will wire itself to live in fear and doubt. But if every day you deliberately feed your mind with empowering thoughts, if you focus on gratitude, if you visualize your vision, if you speak words of power, your brain wires itself for confidence, certainty, and strength. Conditioning means you don't leave your emotions to chance. You don't leave your growth to chance. You deliberately create the patterns that will support your transformation. Your body must be conditioned daily as well. Energy is the foundation of everything you do, and energy is not something you hope for. It's something you generate. If you neglect your body, if you don't move, if you don't fuel it properly, you'll live in a state of fatigue and weakness. And when you feel weak physically, it spills into your emotions, your decisions, your entire life. But if you condition your body daily through movement, through strong breathing, through fueling it with real nutrition, you'll have a reservoir of energy to draw from when challenges come. A strong body creates a strong mind, and a strong mind drives a powerful life. Conditioning is about making your physical rituals non-negotiable. Conditioning your mind daily is just as critical. The world is constantly throwing negativity, fear, and distraction at you. If you're not actively feeding your mind with empowering input, the world will feed it garbage by default. You must decide what to read, what to listen to, what to focus on. You must train yourself to direct your focus to what matters. Read books that grow you. Listen to messages that empower you. Ask questions that shift your perspective. Meditate, journal, visualize. Do something every day to take control of your mental state. Conditioning your mind isn't about one big moment of inspiration. It's about repeatedly programming yourself with the beliefs and thoughts that serve your future. Your emotions must also be conditioned daily. Emotions are like muscles. Gratitude is a muscle. Courage is a muscle. Confidence is a muscle. If you don't use them, they atrophy. But if you practice them daily, they grow stronger. Every day, take time to practice gratitude, to practice stepping into courage, to practice embodying confidence. Don't wait for life to give you a reason to feel these emotions. Generate them on your own. The more you practice them, the more natural they become, and eventually they become your default state. Consistency is what separates those who talk about change from those who live it. Too many people go all in for a short period of time and then quit when the initial excitement fades. They start working out for a few weeks and stop. They start journaling or meditating for a few days and then forget. They start a new habit, but the moment life gets busy, they drop it. But the people who transform their lives are the ones who keep going when it's no longer exciting, who stay disciplined when it's inconvenient, who repeat the rituals day after day until it becomes a part of who they are. Discipline creates freedom. Daily conditioning creates transformation. And there's a reason why the most successful people in any field have morning rituals. They know that how you start your day shapes how you live your day. If you wake up and immediately check your phone, react to messages, scroll through social media, you're conditioning your mind to live in reaction and distraction. But if you wake up and take control, moving your body, breathing deeply, visualizing your goals, affirming your identity, practicing gratitude, you condition yourself to live with power, focus, and clarity. It's not about the ritual itself. It's about the state it creates. When you condition yourself daily, you don't rely on external circumstances to dictate how you feel. You decide how you feel. And conditioning also means surrounding yourself with an environment that supports your transformation. Habits are influenced by the people you spend time with, the environment you live in, the inputs you allow into your life. If you surround yourself with people who complain, who settle, who accept mediocrity, you will condition yourself to do the same. If you fill your environment with negativity, clutter, and distraction, you will condition yourself to stay stuck. But if you surround yourself with people who push you higher, if you create an environment that reflects your vision, if you fill your mind with inspiration and knowledge, you will condition yourself to rise. The power of daily conditioning is that it compounds. At first, the changes might seem small. Reading for 20 minutes a day, exercising for 30 minutes, journaling for 10 minutes, practicing gratitude for 5 minutes. These may not seem life-changing in the moment. But over weeks, months, and years, they create exponential growth. Just like compound interest in finances, small daily investments in yourself grow into extraordinary results over time. The key is not intensity, it's consistency. It's not about doing something once in a while with great effort. It's about doing it every single day until it becomes part of you. When you condition daily, you also create certainty. Life is unpredictable. Challenges will come, circumstances will change, problems will arise. If you don't have daily rituals, you'll be at the mercy of those circumstances. But if you have conditioned yourself every day, you carry an inner strength that is unshakable. No matter what happens, you know how to center yourself. You know how to generate energy. You know how to focus. You know how to rise. Daily conditioning is how you prepare for the storms of life. You don't wait until the storm comes to start building strength. You build it every day so that when the storm hits, you're unbreakable. Transformation doesn't happen because you want it. It happens because you condition yourself into it. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your rituals. If your rituals are weak, your results will be weak. If your rituals are strong, your results will be strong. Conditioning daily means setting a standard for yourself and living it every single day, no matter what. It means creating the habits that align with your vision and repeating them until they are your identity. It means taking control of the small things so that the big things take care of themselves. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe